What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, and in this video we're going to be looking at PrizePicks NBA player props for tonight's game. We've got a pretty good one on the deck. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Golden State Warriors. Should be a very exciting game. Ja Morant versus Steph Curry. Two teams scrapping to get into that last playoff spot. So definitely looking forward to that one tonight. Now, yesterday's video, we did pretty well. We hit 5 out of our 8 picks, so we're going to look to repeat that success and obviously improve. There's always room for improvement unless, the video goes 8 for 8, but that's only ever happened once, so maybe it'll happen again today. Actually, today, though, I have more than just 8 picks. I'm going to do 9 picks for you today, and we're going to talk about all 9. We're going to discuss points, assists, and rebounds. No 3-point props, but guys, there's going to be plenty of different ways for you to go. Trust me on that one. Now, speaking of success, we've went over 1,200 subscribers. So thank you very much to everybody who subscribes, who tunes in, who has those notifications turned on and are viewing and liking these videos every single day. Speaking of likes, we crushed yesterday's like goal, so I'm going to bump it up to 44.5 for today. That means we've got to get 45 or more likes. I know we can absolutely do it with 1,200 subscribers, 400 to 500 views per day. We should be able to hit 45 likes with no problemo. All right, enough with me trying to speak Spanish. Let's start getting into some of this game and some of these picks. So let's talk about the game total and spread. Let's just knock that one out of the way since there's only one game to discuss. The game totals are 221.5 points right now, with Golden State as a 5-point favorite at home. So pretty good totals here, not skyrocket, sky high totals of 230, 240 points, but 221.5 is pretty good. And I think this is the type of game with two types of teams where maybe there's some upside here, some potential for this game to go even more than 221, 222 points. So I'm liking the way things are looking here. Doesn't look like it's going to be a blowout. I think Memphis is a good enough team to stick around here. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we are not victims of a blowout tonight. All right, so with that out of the way, we can start talking about some of these props. The first guy I'm going to discuss is Dillon Brooks. Now, the last time the Memphis Grizzlies took the court, I believe I discussed Dillon Brooks' point prop in one of my videos. I think I ended up taking him under on his points prop, and, well, he ended up going over. But new day, new opportunities here. We're going to go back to Dillon Brooks here and talk about his points prop. Now, he's at 20.5 points. So if we look on Number Fire here, we do Control F to bring up our search function. We type in Brooks. We can see that he's at a 20-point projection tonight. Now, obviously, 20 or less points on an under play for here on Dillon Brooks at 20.5 points. 20 or less points gets us paid. So the under is looking like the lean so far, but we're going to move over to NBA.com and we're going to do a little search here for Dillon Brooks' name. All of the sites you see in today's video, completely free. You have access to all of them. You can go and do all this stuff yourself if you want to do your own independent research. Maybe there's a player or a prop that I'm not discussing today and you want to go look into it for yourself. Definitely go and do that. So we've got Dillon Brooks at 17.2 points per game. Now, obviously at 17.2 points per game, that is quite a bit lower than 20.5 points. So the under still, again, looking like a good way to go here. But we're going to move it to his last few games and get an idea if that scoring average is going up or going down when we shift it from a season average to a 5-game average. So let's go look at that now. Now, in his last 5 games, he's appeared in 4 of those games, playing over 32 minutes per game. His scoring average is up 23.3 points per game. So that is a little bit of a knock here about against, I should say, going under on Dillon Brooks in this 20.5 point prop. Now, I want to take things a step further here. I normally don't do this in these videos. I try to keep them short, sweet, and to the point, but I wanted to change the opponent. Instead of looking at all teams, I just want to look at the Golden State Warriors. So I'm going to reset the filters here. We're going to change this to the Golden State Warriors and click Run It. And let's take a look and see how he's performed against Golden State this season. Now, he's played against them 3 times this season. He's averaging about 27 minutes per game during that time. 15 points per game against this Warriors team this season. Again, that's over a 3-game sample size. So 15 is obviously way under 20.5. So maybe Dillon Brooks just might get clamped by these Golden State Warriors tonight. Just wanted to add that little tidbit in, a little extra layer of research here. Now let's move things over to rotowire.com. We'll take a look at Dillon Brooks there, and we've got him at 20.5 across 3 different sports books today. Now at 20.5, he's a minus 139 to go under. That is a strong underplay. Minus 118, not as strong, but still hinting that we should lean maybe toward the under here. And then finally, minus 128, also suggesting that the under is the way to go for Dillon Brooks. So I'm going back to the well again here. He failed me the other night. In other words, he went over his points prop the other night. But I'm going to go back again here and take the under on Dillon Brooks again, just based on what I've seen versus the Golden State Warriors in that 3-game sample size. His season averages are below 20.5. I think this is a type of situation where maybe he plays closer to his season averages. Plus the projections are slightly lower than 20.5 here. And the totals aren't super high in this one. So that leads me to usually take more unders than I normally would. So I'm going to lean toward the under on Dillon Brooks in this 20.5 point prop. All right, so with him out of the way, we're going to talk another Grizzly here, and in this case, it's Desmond Bane at 7.5 points. I think he might be a little bit too low. I think this is a situation where Desmond Bane, whether it be a blowout or not, he comes off the bench possibly and knocks down some threes, and he can definitely sky over this 7.5 point prop. So let's head back over to Number Fire real quick, and you'll see why I like Bane tonight. So we type in his name, and he's at 10.1 projected points over on Number Fire. Now 10.1 versus 7.5 points. 10.1 is obviously a lot higher than 7.5. So this is a great first look here at an overplay for Desmond Bane. So we're going to head back to NBA.com, type in Desmond Bane's name. Let's open up a new tab. And for the season, you can see he scores at a 9.2 point per game clip, which is, again, more than 7.5 points, which leads me to believe that the over is still a strong possibility here. But let's go look at his last handful of games and see how those stack up. We'll change it from all games to 5 games and click run. And you can see that in his last 5 games, he is scoring at a 7.6 point per game average. Now, 7.6 is just a slight over on 7.5, but that does lead us to believe that he should be closer to 8 or more points than 7 or less points in this situation here. Now, we're going to do what we did before. We're going to change his opponent to the Golden State Warriors and see what happens here. And once we click run, you can see that he has appeared in all 3 of the games versus Golden State, averaging 22.8 minutes per game. Now, good sign for us, 10.3 points per game in his 3 previous matchups with Golden State this season. So again, the over is looking like another good way to go here for Desmond Bane. I like it. Now we're heading back on over here to RotoWire. We're going to find Desmond Bane in this list of point props. And we've only got one book that has a point prop up for Desmond Bane, but you can see on that one book, he is a ever so slight favorite to go over his point prop of 7.5 points. So guys, I don't see anything here that makes me believe that Desmond Bane is going to let us down, that he'll go for 7 or less points. I mean, even if this game blows out, a guy like Desmond Bane would be the one that I would expect to get garbage time minutes, to get buckets late into a blowout type of situation. So I'm sticking with it. Desmond Bane over 7.5 points looks a-okay by me. Now we're going to continue with our theme of talking Memphis Grizzly point props, and we're going to go back to the top here and talk Ja Morant, arguably the best Memphis Grizzlies player on the team. Now he's at 21.5 points. Let's take a look at where he's projected to score tonight over on Number Fire, and we'll do a little search here for Morant. He should be toward the top, and he is. He's at 19.8 points per game. Points tonight, rather, not points per game. So at 19.8 points, that puts him well under 21.5 points, suggesting that we should be taking the under on this point prop. But we're going to go a little bit further, as we typically do. We're going to type in Ja Morant's name into NBA.com. Let's bring up a new tab. And on his player card here, you can see right up here, front and center, 19.1 points per game. That again is an under on the 21.5 point prop he's at tonight. So let's click the stats. Let's dig into traditional splits. We'll run a little 5-game report here. and see how his scoring average goes up or goes down during that time. All right, so in his last 5 games, you can see he's appeared in 4 of those games. He's scoring at just 16 points per game, guys, so that is lower than his season average and quite a bit lower than his projection over on PrizePicks of 21.5 points. But we're not going to stop right there. We're going to click reset here. We're going to go to opponent, change it to the Golden State Warriors like we did for the other Grizzlies players, and click run and see what happens. All right, so he's appeared in all 3 games versus Golden State this season, playing over 34 minutes per game. Now his scoring average is 14.7 points versus Golden State in those 3 previous matchups. Again, a clear indication that we should be looking to target the under on Ja Morant's points. So a little bit of a theme here so far with these Memphis Grizzlies guys. At least 2 out of the 3, Brooks and Morant, going under on their points prop tonight. So last but not least, we're heading back to RotoWire. Let's go find Ja Morant. We've got 2 books that have a point prop up for them. Now, they're both even, minus 110 under over here and minus 115 under over there. So we can't glean any information from these sports books on this point prop for Morant. But I will say that that 3-game sample size that we have from this season versus Golden State, where he's went well under 21.5 points, is a good sign to me. Plus, his season averages are below 21.5. Not to mention his last 5 games, he is even lower than his season averages and well below 21.5 points. So, guys, I really don't have any reason here to believe that Ja Morant is going to go over 21.5 points. I just haven't seen enough information that says that he can get it done tonight, 22 or more points. So I'm going to stick to the under on Morant. It looks like a good play in my eyes. So let's move on to the next guy, Jonas Valanciunas. He is at 20.5 points over on PrizePicks. I believe somebody in our Discord community, by the way, if you're not a member of our Discord community, there's a link down in the description of today's video. Definitely go join the Discord. And another thing, you probably want to follow me on Twitter. A link to my Twitter is going to be down in the description of the video as well, because today is Follower Friday, hashtag Follower Friday on PrizePicks. So what is that? Well, that basically means that later on today, the community and myself, we're going to tweet out a 2-pick NBA play that we really like. And if you tail it, that exact lineup, that exact 2 picks, you can flex it, you can power it, whatever you prefer. But if you tail that pick and it hits, you'll get a 25% payout boost. So definitely follow me on Twitter if you're not. Follow PrizePicks on Twitter if you're not. And join the Discord community. All that stuff will be down in the description of this video. Anyway, Jonas Valanciunas, someone said in our Discord community that he was at 19.5 points, and he has since been bumped up to 20.5 points. So let's talk about Jonas Valanciunas real quick, because I did see some juice on the under at 19.5 points, not 20.5. So let's go look at Number Fire real quick. We don't even really have to do a search here. We got Jonas Valanciunas right here at 19.3 points. So 19.3 points is over 1 point less than 20.5 points. So this indicates that maybe the under is the way to go here on Jonas Valanciunas. So let's move over to NBA.com. We'll do a search here for Joe Val. Now you can't type in Joe Val. You have to type in either his first name or his last name. So we'll open up his player card, and you can see that for the season, he has averaged 17.1 points per game, which is quite a bit less than 20.5 points, guys. I'm not sure why they bumped him up, probably because people were taking the over on Valanciunas, but let's see if taking the over on Valanciunas makes any sense. So far, it looks like the under should be the way that we go here. So let's click traditional splits, change this to a 5-game sample, and click run. And you can see that in that last 5-game sample, he has appeared in 3 of those games. And in those 3 games, his scoring average is up. It's at 24.3 points per game. So that is a knock against going under on Jonas Valanciunas at 20.5 points. So let's reset these filters. We're going to change his opponent from all teams to just the Golden State Warriors and click run it. Now, again, he's played in all 3 of the games against the Warriors this season, averaging 29 minutes per game. Now, his scoring average versus the Warriors this season, 19.3 points. So 19.3 points is obviously less than 20.5 points. So again, I just don't understand, other than his last 5 games where his scoring average is up. Well, that was actually a 3-game sample size anyway, not a 5-game sample size. But I don't understand why you would go over here. Nothing really stands out to me that says the over on Jonas Valanciunas is definitely the way we should be looking. So I don't know, not seeing it. But let's go over to the various sports books over here on RotoWire real quick. We've got 19.5 across the board. Now at 19.5, here he is even at -113 over and under. Over here we see a slight case being made here for the over at -116, but we've got a stronger case being made for the under on our third and final sports book at -128 under 19.5 points. So this is going to be a tough one, guys, but you're going to have to go, with what you feel is right here. In this situation, though, I'm a numbers guy. I try to stick strictly to the numbers. I think over the long run, that is the best way to go. And the numbers to me, other than his 5-game sample, which was really a 3-game sample, where he's scoring over 24 points per game in his last 3 games, everything indicates that we should be going under in this matchup. So that is probably the way that I will be going as well on Jonas Valanciunas here. All right, we've got all of our points props out of the way, so we're going to move over to assists now and talk about a couple of guys with their assist props that stood out to me. First one's going to be Ja Morant at 8.5 assists. Now, I believe with my initial research that I did that the under was looking like the way to go on Ja Morant. So we're going to head over to Number Fire. We click the assist column. You can see he's at 7.8 projected assists for tonight. So that means even if we round up to 8 assists, that's less than 8.5. So the under is looking like a good direction to go here. But we're going to go back to NBA.com and do our research as we have done with the other props in this video so far. Now you can see that for the season, he is averaging 7.4 assists per game, which is quite a bit less than 8.5. So again, another indicator that the under is probably the favorable way to go here. Let's click traditional splits, go to advanced filters, run a report for his last 5 games. You can see he's appeared in 4 of those last 5 games, and his assist numbers are up a little bit, 9.3 assists versus his season average of 7.4 assists. So he's up almost to 2 more assists per game versus where he's at for the season. Let's reset these filters. Let's go back to the opponent here and change it to the Golden State Warriors and click run it and see what happens here. Again, we mentioned before he's appeared in 3 games against Golden State this season, and during that time 6.3 assists per game is the average for him. So that would put him well under 8.5, leading me to believe that the under is still looking like a solid play here for Ja Morant if you throw out the recent game sample that we just looked at. So let's move back over to RotoWire. We'll click the assist button here and it jumps us right to where we need to be. Now we got him at 8.5 assists across the board today, -127 on the under. Good number there. -115 on the under, still an under, not super strong. And then finally -128 on the under as well. So we got 3 sports books here that all agree that the under looking like the better way to go here on Ja Morant. So I'm going to stick with it, guys. Not seeing anything that makes me super scared here other than his little recent game sample size where he's went just slightly over 8.5 assists at a little bit over 9 assists. But hey, based on what I've seen him do against Golden State for this season in that 3-game sample size, based on his season averages, based on the projections, based on the Vegas lines, everything seems to be lining up for an under on these assists for Ja Morant. All right, so with that one out of the way, let's talk a Golden State Warrior assist prop here. And we've got Kent Bazemore at 1.5 dimes. I think initially I was leaning toward taking the over here at 1.5 assists. Let's go find Bazemore on Number Fire real quick. And if we scroll down a little bit, you can see he's at 2.2 assists today, which puts him over 1.5. And that would lead us to want to take the over and the fact that he would need 2 or more assists to hit this prop if we do take the over. I like the fact that he's projected at 2.2. So let's move it over to NBA.com. We'll type in Bazemore's name, open up a new tab, and you can see that for the season, his assist averages are 1.6, which is slightly more than 1.5, but I've got a feeling that if we look at the last few games here, that number will change somewhat. So let's go ahead and do that now. run this report. All right, so in his last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5 of those games. His assist numbers are actually the same. 1.6 assists for the season, 1.6 assists in his last 5 games. So let's click reset here. Let's change his opponent to just the Memphis Grizzlies and run a report on that one. Now, he's appeared in all 3 games against the Grizzlies, playing almost 21 minutes per game, and his assists this season against the Grizzlies, 2.3 assists, which would indicate an over may be the way to go here for Kent Bazemore in this situation. So, again, 1.6 for the season, 1.6 in his last few games, and 2.3 for his previous matchups against Memphis. All are indicators that the over is the way to go here. So then, last but not least, we're going to look on RotoWire. Kent Bazemore's got 1 assist prop up, and on that 1 assist prop, they've got him as a minus 118 to go over 1.5 assists. So everything is lining up here for Kent Bazemore to have at least 2 assists in this game. I like it. I think I'm going to take it. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. So over on Kent Bazemore on these 1.5 assists. All right, so with that one out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some rebound props. I've got 3 different rebound props that we're going to discuss today. One is going to be Steph Curry at 5.5 boards. At 5.5 boards, I've got Curry going over. So let's go and take a look here and see if the over is the way to go. We're going to go back to number fire. We're going to click the rebound column. We should find Curry somewhere toward the top or middle of the pack here. And there he is. He's at 5.7 rebounds. So 5.7, obviously more than 5.5 boards. Let's go back to NBA.com, type in Curry's name. And unfortunately, Steph, we're not talking about you today. We're talking about your big bro, Steph. So at 5.5 boards for the season, that is a deadlock with where he's at on PrizePicks today. So 5.5 looking like a solid number here. We need something to kind of break this tie. His projection was at 5.7. His PrizePicks numbers at 5.5. His season average is at 5.5. So he's floating right around that 5 to 6 rebound window. We need something that's going to push us over the top or push us under. Let's see if we get that in his last 5 game sample size. So in his last 5 games, he's appeared in 4 out of those 5 games. His rebound numbers are actually down to 4.8 boards in his last 4 games. So that would indicate that maybe an under is the way to go here. It's not looking like a super strong direction here over or under so far. So when I don't see a super clear path, well, then that kind of leads me to want to fade. But we're not done with our research yet. So let's head over to the Memphis Grizzlies and click run. Now, he's only appeared against Memphis 1 time this season. He played 40 minutes in that game. He dropped a massive 46 points. Now, his rebounds in that game, 7 boards. So not a huge sample size here with just that 1 game. I wish we could have seen him, in that 3-game sample size. But in that 1-game sample that we do have, he did get 7 boards, which indicates an over here. So again, we're getting mixed signals here. It's not looking super clear. But let's head back over here to RotoWire. We'll click rebounds, and it'll move us up to the rebound category. Now we got him at 5.5 rebounds across the board here. So at 5.5 boards, he's a minus 129 to go over. He's a minus 122 to go over, and a minus 118 to go over. So you're not seeing super strong odds that favor the over on this 5.5 rebound prop for Curry. If it was me, probably a gun to head situation, I would probably take the over on these 5.5 boards and hope for the best. But in this case, I would probably recommend you find a better play elsewhere. It's just not looking super, super clear to me. All right, so with that one out of the way, we've got another rebound prop to discuss. We're talking Steph's teammate, Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green's at 9.5 rebounds. At 9.5 boards, I think I've got him going as a slight under, and you'll see why in just a moment. So we're heading back over to number fire, and there's Draymond Green's rebound projection today, 9.4 boards. 9.4 boards, slightly less than 9.5, closer to 9 boards than it is 10 boards. So the under looking like the way to go here. Let's move over to NBA.com. We'll type in Draymond Green's name. Let's open up a new tab for him. And you can see that for the season, his rebounds are down at 7.1 boards per game, which is quite a bit less than 9.5. So Let's click the stats. Let's go look at his last few games. Maybe that number goes up a little bit. Change this to 5 games. And you can see he's appeared in 4 out of those 5 games. His rebound numbers are right about the same, actually. 7.3 rebounds per game versus 7.1 rebounds per game. A minuscule tick up versus his season average. So let's reset these filters. Let's change the opponent to just the Memphis Grizzlies. Click run and see what happens here. Now, he has faced Memphis 3 times this season, playing almost 35 minutes per game. His rebound numbers in those matchups, 9 rebounds per game, which is less than 9.5 rebounds, right? So the under, again, is looking like a strong candidate here. Now, we're going to head back over to RotoWire. We're going to look for Draymond Green. He's up at the top here. They've got about 9.5 boards across the board here. Minus 127 for the under here. Minus 124 for the under there. And last but not least, a very strong minus 143 for the under on BetMGM. So, guys, I think that the under is going to be the way that I go on Draymond Green in this 9.5 rebound prop. He hasn't really pulled down 10 or more rebounds for his averages against Memphis this season. I don't see a projection of him going over 10 or more boards. So, I mean, everything just seems to line up here for an under on Draymond Green. So I'm going to stick with it. And the last prop, we've made it to the finish line, guys, is Jaren Jackson Jr. JJJ. He's at 5.5 boards today. Let's take a look at where he's at on number fire. Jaren Jackson Jr. 5.8 rebounds is his projected rebound total today, which puts him very close to 6 boards, which also indicates we should be looking at taking the over on Jaren Jackson Jr. here. So let's move to NBA.com. Jackson, of course, missed a lot of games this season. We will have probably somewhat limited samples to look at, but you can see that right here off rip, 5.6 rebounds per game puts him as a slight favorite to go over versus this 5.5 rebound prop today. Let's go look at his last handful of games and see if his rebound numbers go up or down during that segment. So we click run it. And they do go up. 6.7 rebounds per game over his last 3 games. So we ran a 5-game sample, came back with 3 games in which he's appeared in, and 6.7 rebounds is a good healthy number for an over on this 5.5 rebound number. So we're going to click reset here. Let's go see if he has any previous matchups against the Golden State Warriors this season, because that would be very helpful to us if he does. And he does have one previous matchup against Golden State this season. He played a little over 31 minutes, and in that matchup, 7 rebounds. So another indicator that the over is the way to go on Jaren Jackson Jr. and these 5.5 boards. I'm digging it. So last but not least, we're back over to RotoWire.com. We've got Jaren Jackson up here at 5.5 boards across the industry today. Now at 5.5 here, he is a minus 143 to go over. 5.5 here, minus 138 to go over. And last but not least, a little bit of a deviation versus our 2 previous sports books, a minus 118 to go under. But I like the higher odds on the other 2 books better. I think those are stronger indications that this is a good play here to go over Jaren Jackson Jr. at 5.5 boards. So I'm sticking with it. No flip-flopping for me on this player prop. But you guys let me know what you think. Which of these player props are standing out to you? Maybe it's Jaren Jackson Jr.'s rebounds. Maybe it's Dylan Brooks' points. Or maybe it's, I don't know, Kent Bazemore's assists. You guys let me know. Drop a comment down in the comment section below. Hopefully you subscribe. Hopefully you have notifications turned on so that you can take advantage of some of these picks tonight and make some money over on PrizePicks. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's CJ. Good luck tonight if you're playing some NBA PrizePicks. Catch you in the next video. Peace out.